Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up. The two big stories on Young and Restless this week were Sharon framing Daniel and Jack and Diane's marriage seemingly falling apart. Inside, I'll take a closer look at what happened, and as always, what's coming up. Damn, Phyllis is about to become a major thorn in Chance's side, isn't she? He's set for a big reminder as to what he disliked about working in law enforcement in Geno City. Phyllis' special standalone episode was not only a flashback palooza, but it served to make it very clear to viewers that Phyllis will be the one to expose Sharon. I'm hoping against hope that this story won't fizzle or flail like so many others before it. It has great possibilities in that it reignites Sharon and Phyllis' legendary rivalry, wedges Nick smack dab in the middle again, and finally will bring us to some resolution in Heather's death. If Daniel being framed is phase 1 of this investigation, Phyllis exposing Sharon will surely be phase 2, and probably the last phase will be the reveal of what really happened that night, which may get Sharon off the hook. Also fun, Phyllis may be forced to team up with another rival to save her son. We've already had to suspend disbelief in this story. What with Sharon performing unbelievable feats, the bumbling police investigation, and Phyllis leaping to the conclusion that her nemesis was the one who framed Daniel. But I'm willing to do it if it takes us on a decent ride. As we well know, most of the other offerings on Young and Restless are painfully dull. For those complaining that Phyllis whitewashed her history on her jaunt down memory lane, of course she did. She's Phyllis, and this was her family she was talking to. It's only natural that she would tell her version of events, and leave out the worst of it. She was hardly going to confess to a hit and run on the bug. Jack's takedown of Diane in the club was soap nirvana. Not only was it super satisfying to have someone finally yell all the things we've wanted her to hear since she first stepped foot back in Geno City, but it happened in front of a stunned, horrified, and in Victor's case, gleeful audience. Fans loved it too. Even better is that we really don't know if it was real or fake. My take, if Diane actually wants to put her son in prison over a line of sunscreen, I hope the fight was real, and that it's her well-deserved comeuppance. Kyle deserves consequences as well. Don't get me wrong, but what mother puts their son behind bars? Another clue that it may have been the real deal. We've seen tension between Jack and Diane in private and when no one was watching. On the other hand, scrapping so publicly does suggest that the couple may be playing a long game to try and fool Victor into thinking that he's winning. Judging by the look on Kyle's face, the crisis might be geared towards shocking some sense into him as well. Killing two ruthless birds with one stone, if you will. If Jack and Diane are pulling off a ruse, they're really going for authenticity, as he asks her to move out of the Abbott mansion next week. Final related thought, filed under interesting timing, was Phyllis devoting a segment of her walk down memory lane to blaming Diane for the end of her relationship with Jack. Are the writers eyeing a fact reunion down the road if this split is real? Phyllis is about to be too busy to help Billy Abbott Chancellor, what with having to solve a murder mystery. But if anyone can multitask on this level, it's Red. It remains to be seen if Billy will risk it all. Interesting terminology Phyllis used on a gambling addict. To try and use the time until Dabby's wedding to finally show his mother he's worthy. I'm vaguely intrigued to see if he can pull it off. Regardless, one of the highlights of the week was the fiery Jill of old reading Billy for filth over firing Lily. I've missed her. The opinions expressed are my own. Please join the conversation by posting in the comments below. On a chilly autumn afternoon, the small town of Maplewood found itself enshrouded in a layer of tension that crackled like fallen leaves underfoot. Jack and Diane, the quintessential couple who seemed to have it all, youth, love, and an unshakable bond, were at the heart of the commotion. Their relationship was the subject of both admiration and envy, but that day it would reveal its cracks. The sun was dipping low in the sky, casting long shadows across the town square as townsfolk bustled about, unaware of the brewing storm. Jack and Diane had spent countless hours laughing, dancing, and dreaming together. Their love story is sweet as the caramel apples sold at the local fair. But beneath the surface of their seemingly perfect romance lay a truth that few could see. It began, as many fights do, with something trivial. Jack had been late to meet Diane for their usual Friday night dinner at the quaint diner on Main Street. He'd have promised her he would be on time, but the unexpected flat tire on his old pickup had delayed him. As he rushed through the diner door, breathless and apologetic, He found Diane seated at their favorite booth, arms crossed and lips pursed. "Jack, you said you'd be here at 6, she stated, her voice barely masking the disappointment. "I know I'm sorry. I had a flat tire," he replied, his frustration bubbling beneath his polite facade. "I tried to call, but my phone died." Diane's brows knitted together. "It's always something with you, isn't it? A flat tire, a dead phone. When will you take this seriously?" As the minutes ticked by, what started as a minor miscommunication escalated into a full-blown argument. The diner's fluorescent lights flickered overhead as patrons cast curious glances, their burgers and milkshakes forgotten. Jack's face flushed with anger, his fingers gripping the table's edge as he struggled to articulate his feelings. "You think I wanted this to happen?" he shot back. "I was looking forward to tonight just as much as you were. You could at least try to understand." Diane's eyes blazed. "Understand? You think this is just about dinner? It's about you always being late, always having some excuse. I want to be with someone who respects my time." Their voices grew louder, the sound echoing through the diner, drowning out the clatter of dishes and the low murmur of conversations around them. The waitress, an older woman with kind eyes, approached their table with caution. "Everything okay here?" she asked, her tone light but with an underlying seriousness. Jack took a deep breath, the heat of the argument momentarily cooling. "We're fine," he said, but Diane's glare told a different story. "No, we're not fine," she retorted. "This is the same pattern, Jack. I can't keep pretending that it doesn't bother me." As the waitress walked away, Jack leaned closer, lowering his voice. "What do you want from me, Diane? I'm doing my best." Diane's expression softened for a fleeting moment. "I want you to show up, Jack. To be present. Not just physically, but emotionally. I need to know you care." In that moment, the weight of their relationship pressed heavily on Jack's shoulders. He had always prided himself on being the fun-loving partner, the one who could lighten the mood with a joke or a spontaneous adventure. But the truth was more complicated. He had been struggling with the pressures of adulthood, the responsibility of his job, and the fear of not being enough for Diane. "I care," he said finally, his voice barely above a whisper. "But I'm scared. I feel like I'm failing you." Diane's expression shifted, the fire in her eyes giving way to empathy. "You're not failing me, Jack, but we need to communicate. We can't just ignore these issues, because they're uncomfortable." Jack nodded slowly, feeling the anger dissipate as he absorbed her words. "I know, I just didn't want to ruin our night." "Ruin it," she echoed, a hint of a smile creeping onto her lips. "This is real life, Jack. It's messy. But if we can't talk about it, what's the point?" As they sat in silence, the tension slowly transformed into a tentative understanding. Jack reached across the table, taking Diane's hand in his. The warmth of her skin against his ignited a flicker of hope. "I promise I'll do better," he said, sincerity lacing his words. "Let's find a way to make this work." Diane squeezed his hand, her earlier frustrations melting away. "And I promise to be more patient. We're in this together, right?" The couple left the diner that night hand in hand, their earlier fight now a memory colored with vulnerability and honesty. They walked through the town, the crisp air filled with the scent of pine and the distant sound of laughter from a nearby bonfire. Maplewood seemed brighter, more alive, as they embraced the complexity of their relationship. As the moon cast a silver glow on the world around them, Jack and Diane understood that every relationship has its challenges. It wasn't the absence of conflict that defined their love, but rather how they navigated through it together. They realized that their fight, while uncomfortable, had laid the foundation for deeper communication and a stronger bond. From that day forward, they approached their relationship with a newfound commitment to honesty and understanding. Every time a disagreement arose, they would remember that autumn night in the diner, the truth about their fight, and the love that emerged from it. In the heart of Maplewood, amid the rustle of leaves and the glow of streetlights, Jack and Diane learned that love is not just about the good times, but also about growing together through the storms.